Hi everybody, I'm here reporting on last night's 1-1 draw up at Dens Park where Rangers played Dundee. And I'll start with stats this time. It was the usual stats, except it wasn't. The usual part was we had 70 odd percent possession as usual, but by the end of the game, all the other stats were practically equal. We had 13 shots at goal, they had 12. We had 3 on target, they had 2. So for us to have 13 shots at goal with 70 odd percent possession is just disgraceful. It just sums up what's wrong with this Rangers team. The other team has 20 odd percent possession and they have practically the same number of shots and ones on target as us. Just ridiculous. Anyhow, go back to the beginning, saw the team, and I knew we were in trouble when the manager had decided that the weak physically and mentally dud Proper was going to be the captain for the night. So we knew we were in trouble then. Another more intriguing choice was young Inciala, the guy we got from AC Milan Academy, who hasn't played 1 minute. I don't think he's even been on the bench for a first team game. So he's suddenly thrown in at the deep end. And give him his due, he was better than the rest of the defenders as defenders because he looked quite confident. He looked as if he could pass the ball out of defence. He was big, he was strong. He made a couple of mistakes, almost cost us a penalty, but thankfully the ref saw for what it was. It wasn't a penalty. Two guys just come together when they were looking up at the sky for the ball coming down. So I persevere with that guy, just as we took ages to give Iggerman his debut and then a regular berth in the team. Let this young guy have that spot while we're toiling for numbers in central defence. It couldn't be any worse than Proper and some of the rest of them that have played there. And as for Leon King, when he can't even get a start, when we're down to the really bare bones, he should be looking for an exit either this month or in the summer because he came on at Easter Road, didn't play well as a sub, and if he doesn't get the start as he didn't last night, there's no future for him. So bye bye Leon, I would say. We've been a bit unfair to him, I think, but it's too late now. So let's persevere with Inciala, especially a home game on Sunday and the cup game the following week against Fraserburgh. These are games he should be able to cope with, and let's give him a run and let's see what he can do. So good on him. The rest of them was all the usual stuff: slow, pedestrian, side to side passing, no threat, no penetration, just all the things we've seen for a year and a half now. Practically. So it was one of these dire games. Diomande hit the woodwork, 5 minutes from the end. And if that had gone in, we would have won, and it would have been undeserved. We didn't deserve to lose, but we certainly didn't deserve to win. So a draw was a fair result. You can't say anything different from that. Of the guys who played, it was good to see wee Connor Barron back in the team. I thought he was our best guy. Always makes himself available for a pass when he gets it. He recycles the ball. Simple passes, accurate passes, sometimes 20 yarders forward. I thought he was the best man in the team. And oh, wait a minute, he was substituted 25 minutes from the end. And of all the midfielders to take off, he was the one who should have stayed on because Mr. Anonymous Diomande, apart from hitting the woodwork, and Mr. Anonymous, who's also weak, slow, got no appetite for the Scottish game by Rami, he missed a sitter in the first 3 minutes, an absolute sitter that would have presumably changed the course of the game, but he missed a sitter, so he was useless. He stayed on to the bitter end. Why? I do not know, because he is just another dud. He's got skill, but he doesn't have the appetite for the Scottish game. He's too weak mentally and physically. So the two of them could have come off, but no, he takes Barron off, the one guy that tackles. That's a problem. We've got five midfielders there, and Barron and Raskin in normal times are the only ones who can actually tackle. The rest are too weak and too slow. So the opposition, if they're any good, they can just run through the midfield and suddenly they're on top of the defence. And that's not even the real defence nowadays. Oh, and by the way, I watched the whole game on Sky. I watched the BBC highlights and I thought how typical of the BBC anti-Rangers commentator, the wee Chukta guy, who at the beginning outlines that Dundee are ravaged by injuries. But it doesn't mention Rangers had Butland, Tavernier, Sterling, Casanwiro, Suter, Balogun, Lawrence, Raskin, all missing. I think that's about 8 guys of a better class than any of the Dundee jobbers. So no mention of that. It was injury ravaged Dundee against, normal Rangers team in his eyes, and you could hear him practically jumping out of his seat anytime Dundee looked like scoring, and when they did score, and appealing practically for a penalty twice. That was when Simon Murray went down twice. Once when Yilmaz was behind him in the box and he stretched his arm out and his fingernails must have just touched him for a nanosecond and he went flying down like Lee Harvey Oswald was in the stands again. Oswald must like Scottish football. He's always got his rifle firing at guys against us when they're in the box. So he went down, no penalty, just laughable. And then another one when he went down when the ball was coming down from the sky and the young guy, Insiala, and Murray were looking up waiting for it to come down and they clashed just accidentally, bang into each other. He goes down like a ton of bricks holding his foot because the NCL had stood on it accidentally, and from there we went up and scored. But no wonder they didn't get a penalty for either of these. It's not for nothing he's known as Simon Diving, because that's what he was doing twice there. So anyhow, from that second incident, great kick from the goalkeeper Kelly, who aimed a kick right up to the halfway line on the left. Hadji controlled it beautifully, passed it through the middle for Igaman to run onto. He had 2 guys beside him. He held them off. He managed to shrug them aside, prodded the ball through to Czerny, and he fired it into the net with his right foot. So that was the best thing he did the whole game. Later in the second half, he had a great chance on his left foot and he hit it straight to the goalkeeper. And when it bounced back out to him, he hit it with his right foot, 20 yards wide of the far post. So he didn't have a great game either. But basically, we didn't threaten enough, we didn't shoot enough, as you can see from stats, and a 1-1 was always inevitable. Quite ironic, actually, that the manager, who, like most managers, knows nothing, he started with 1 winger in the team, Czerny, and by the end of the game, Czerny had gone off, but with 3 wingers in the team. We had the lesser spotted McCausland, who was actually playing at right back. We had the lesser spotted Matondo, who did virtually nothing. And we had the never spotted Cortez, who again did nothing. So that was after Danilo had come on. So with 3 wingers, 2 strikers, Bayrami, who's supposed to be an attacker, on the field at the same time, and we still didn't look like scoring a goal. It was just pathetic. There's no rhyme or reason behind it all. And meanwhile, the defence didn't really have to do anything because Dundee had just shut up shop and were happy with a draw. Although they did have an offside goal disallowed rightly for fractionally offside. And they had another one where the guy blasted it over the bar from 20 yards, which really should have been in the net. So they did have 2 or 3 breakaways where they looked dangerous and had the ball in the net. But we were basically pretty comfortable by the last half hour of the game. But I mean, what a struggle just to try and create chances against a team with everybody back inside or just outside their box. But that's the course of the season. That's what's happened. So we should have found a way to get around it by now. We do have superior players in most cases, although I'm beginning to doubt that in some cases. When you looked at the team last night, Yilmaz at right back, that's not the answer. You can play him in a one-off game, as we did against Celtic, and it's fine, but you can't play him week on week, such a left-sided player at right back. So he was hopeless. Shefty was quite good going forward. He's one of the better guys. Insiala, as I said, proper, just anonymous. Kelly had 1 save, I think, to make, and he made it, so good on him. Didn't have any chance with the goal, a cut back and a shot from about 8 yards, unchallenged, straight into the net, so we can't complain about the goalie there. As I say, Diamande by Rami, totally anonymous, too weak, too slow. Czerny, a couple of good things, but not enough. Igaman hardly got the ball, but when he did, he held it up, he fought for it, he passed it, he laid it off. He always looked a handful, but they had 1 shot, 1 chance. It wasn't even a chance, but he had it in the 18-yard line, a nice swivel and shot, well saved by the goalie. But that was it. Another terrible result. We just hope we can get better and get some of these players back fit. Otherwise, we're in for more of this in the weeks to come.